Welcome to the Cemetery of Forgotten Books. This is the place books go when they are damaged or lost or no one reads them. I'm Skeeter, the Hope Shelf Elf, and I've come to this sad and lonely place to tell you a few things about how to take care of books so they don't have to come here. Reading books and taking care of them so they are not damaged are the two most important things you can do to stop books from having to come here. Let's start this lesson by looking at some of the kinds of damage you can stop from ever happening just by being responsible borrowers. The person who checked out this book was not responsible because they did not keep this book away from a baby who was playing with a marker pen. Not only did someone draw a picture in this book, but its spine was broken by being pulled apart. This book was new when it was checked out, but when it was returned, a page was torn out. Miss Chenard can tape the page back in, but it won't be as good or as strong or as pretty as before the page was torn. And it's always a bad thing to leave books outside to get dirty or wet like this one. This book was dropped so many times, its corners were crushed, corners damaged from being dropped, and book spines torn like this one, because boys and girls don't take books off the shelf correctly, are the two most frequent kinds of damage Miss Chenard sees when books come back to the library. I know that Miss Chenard is sad when so many damaged books are returned to the library, and so are my friends Tron and Bocan. And I am sad too, because Miss Chenard may not be able to buy books to replace them. That means that for every book that is lost or damaged, there is one less book for you to read and enjoy. There is something all of you can do to stop books from coming here, just by taking good care of them when you come to the library and when you have them checked out, will mean that all of our books will have a long and happy life. Let's begin by learning good book care habits at school. While you are looking for a book, use a shelf marker. Using a shelf marker means that you will be more likely to return the book to its right place on the bookshelf instead of leaving it on the floor where it can be kicked or stepped on. And if you find books on the floor, please pick them up, even if you're not the person responsible for putting them there. Pick them up and put them on top of the bookcase and go tell Miss Chenard. And I am always happy when girls and boys help me keep the library neat and tidy by straightening books that fall on the shelf and using a bookend to keep the books from falling again. This student is taking a book off the shelf correctly. He has placed his shelf marker next to the book and is pulling the book toward himself by holding it in the middle of the spine. Never pull a book off the shelf by grabbing it at the top of the spine. If you do, the spine will eventually tear. After removing a book from the shelf, hold it in both of your hands and begin to carefully page through it. Never look through a book by pushing the pages. Always turn the pages of a book by the corners. This will prevent the pages from getting tears along the bottom edge. After you have checked out your book, line up at the exit door. Always carry your book with both of your arms wrapped around it. Walk to your classroom, holding your book in this way, just like this student is doing. Books that are not hugged are likely to be dropped and their corners crushed, like this one. And never, at any time, stand or walk with a book on top of your head. If the book should fall, it will get hurt. And you won't be able to check out a book from the library for 2 weeks. Taking care of books by picking them up off the floor, turning pages at the corners, and hugging them when you carry them are things you need to do, not just when you are in the library, but all of the time. And there are more things you can do to take good care of books when you are in your classroom. Always use a bookmark to save your place in the book after you are done reading. If you don't have a bookmark, a piece of paper is another good choice. Please don't use anything thicker than a piece of paper because it can hurt the spine of the book. Don't ever dog-ear your page to mark your stopping place. the page will eventually tear along the fold. When you have checked on a library book, you are responsible for taking even better care of it. Keeping your library book in your desk or locker is okay, as long as you remember where you put it. But giving your book to someone else to read is not okay. If they damage or lose the book, they won't have to pay for it. You will, or your mom or dad. And it's also not okay to leave your book in the lunchroom, at your friend's house, or on the school bus. But what about when you leave school? What do you need to do to take responsible care of books at home? The first thing you need to do is to find a safe place to keep the book when you are not reading it. Look around this girl's bedroom and see if you can find some good and some bad places for her book. Raise your hand when you have something to share with the class, and Miss Chenard will call on you. One thing you should never do is leave your book just laying around where others can get at it, where your brother can incinerate it, your little sister who loves to play in dirt draw in it, your zombie cousin walk on it and kick it, and your best friend who loves to read and eat anything get it sticky and dirty. Your next door neighbor come over and play with it. And your dog. Do things that aren't really nice to think about. Or even an alien to find and take back to his planet. So let's review what you need to do to stop these bad things from happening to good books. Recite, along with Miss Chenard, the Book Care Pledge. Finally, and this is the most important thing of all, read the book. Read it to yourself, to your parents, to your sister, to your friends, to space aliens, or anyone or anything. Then you will be loving your book, and it will love you. Goodbye for now, and happy reading!